We're back.
We're back. We are live.
Gosh dang. On smooth 98.7.
Hey, did you hit that?
That's my
Did you
big
hit that old record button there?
Breaker 19 for that Brockway 18-wheeler. Come on, good buddy.
Did I catch a niner in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
Imagine if we had these when we were 12? And better, got them when we're 40.
Come ahead on, bandit. We'll slip you into the rocking chair. Play a little hide and seek. The welcome mat is out and you're coming home.
All night at the end of the day.
Now
We are live.
we just hit the record button, so now we are live.
Where, Craig?
I had
have to.
Look.
we're going to get a checklist if we're going to keep doing this.
Because if I do a whole hour and a good one and that's not on,
Man,
I'm gonna move some
And I
furniture
even
around.
said a minute ago, make sure I
Yeah.
press the record button.
Yeah, I'm gonna move some furniture around in
Because,
here.
see, I'm so used to just pressing it on the camera that I don't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my mind, the audio, I'm hearing it and I'm thinking it's recording to the camera, so I'm thinking I'm good. So, which is crazy because half of my degree was in a soundboard, and you would think that I would have that built into me too. Useless education.
So check.
Live. All right, boys. This is take 3.
take 3.
This is take 3. The,
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. I don't know if today is going to be perfect, but it might be more practice. So, anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're listening to this from. This is the At the End of the Day podcast. Brought to you by Brooks Custom Application. We are Brooks Custom Application, and we have decided to start this podcast to engage with you guys a little bit and to talk about things going on in the world, going on in the agricultural industry, and also hopefully to gain your trust and your business in the future if you are a farmer or have any application needs such as fertilizer, lime, chemicals, spraying. We got some new things coming in the future that are going to be added to that arsenal, which we will talk about here shortly. But yeah, so that is the purpose of this, is to, just have a conversation, talk about things, and engage with you guys, and hopefully, in the future, have some of you as customers. So, with that said, what's going on, boss guys?
Cold. Supposed to be getting some ice and snow, which I'm 43. I don't care for that anymore. So
I took my shoes off at the door down there because he had a little mud on them, and I feel like, remember when Clark got locked in the attic on Christmas vacation? I'm sort of feeling like that from my waist down, and especially my feet. They're getting a little chilly. So,
Do y'all think it's actually going to snow Friday?
yeah, the way it's looking right now, it is. You never know, but
I think they've got us more in ice than they do snow.
yeah, up to 3, 4, 5 inches somewhere.
I think
there.
so. Yeah, I think it's ice and snow.
That's
I hate it.
terrible.
I absolutely hate it. Because, see, here's the worst part about it. The last time this happened, my kid's daycare closed down for a week and a half.
Yeah,
And then my wife still had to go to work.
and then you can go play in the snow for a day, and then everybody wants to stay in the house.
Well, pretty much because my wife lives or works in New Albany, and we live in Pontotoc, and the roads were so icy, I was having to drive her to work every day with the kids. And basically by the time he got back, it's about time to go turn around, and so the whole day was spent every day with screaming kids.
Good thing about snowstorms is everybody get all the calcium they need in like a 3-day span. Because they're going to buy all
there
the
won't
milk.
be a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk by tomorrow night.
Why?
I
I've
had
never
no idea
understood
because
that.
I mean,
Those two things go bad.
I think
the
old
quickest.
people used to get it years ago. You know, they might actually make biscuits, but I'm gonna say most of that milk they buy is gonna be poured out about next Friday.
Yeah.
I mean,
People
go
going
get me
out buying
some-
a gallon of milk don't even have a gallon of milk in the refrigerator.
They just
now.
do it because that's what they were told to do.
Go get me some hamburger and bacon, and I'll be fine.
I never understood that.
I don't know, but
I worked at Save-A-Lot in Pontotoc all throughout high school, and every time we called it snowpocalypse, and they would come in there and wear it out. There wouldn't be a thing left.
It's essentially like the toilet paper crisis of what 2020.
I never understood that either. Like, are you that worried about, wiping your butt?
I guess. Well, and then
And how much are you crapping?
at that point when you see that all the toilet paper's gone, you think, well, I guess I'm gonna have to wipe. I better go get some too. And so everybody just goes in
Panic mode.
panic mode. I mean, it's stupid, but
Did y'all ever see that TikTok of that dude back in, the lockdowns? He was like, the other day, the DirecTV man showed up at my house and knocked on the door, and I came to the door. This man had the audacity to interrupt my fourth nap of the day.
yeah, there was a lot of pounds packed on during all that.
So it's 2025. We had a new year here recently. It's switched over. It was 2024. What I want y'all to talk about a little bit first is the 2024 year in the agriculture industry
Yep, it was
and how
rough.
that was.
It sucked. However you want to put it.
And if you survived to make 25, congratulations.
Yeah, because there's going to be some that do not. I mean, farmers and ag service providers, acres and everything were off. I mean, the trickle down economics of ag start with the farmer, and they're the ones that have to spend money to, keep the ones that support them in ag in business. And when there's not money, when they don't have the extra money and have to cut back, then that affects everybody down the food chain on that. And so they had to cut back. So we had to tighten up as much as we could and to survive. But like I said, I don't think for most it was enough to not lose money anyway. So hopefully more will be able to make it into 2025 than what I think was expected at the end of 24. So hopefully they'll figure out financing, and there is some government farm plan money out there, but even it's not enough to save some of the ones that got hurt real bad this year.
Well, I've heard you say a couple of times to other people, the small guys ain't gonna make it.
Some of them. I mean, it's the way everything. I mean, with how high everything is now, it's hard to. You're having to do it on a volume. It's just like with what we do. I mean, we do a lot of volume, but it's low margins because of how much expense goes into it. And so then when you gear up for a certain expectation of a year and then it falls flat, it's hard to stop and recoup, that money and stop the bleeding. So
Yeah, inputs are so much now to where across the board that you're basically just pushing all your chips in every spring. When you put a crop in, you're pushing all your chips in the middle. Basically, most time in the best case scenario to try to break even or make a little money. But when you lose, when you have at best a marginal year, not all the crops were bad. I mean, there were some highlights, but I'm talking about just across the board. 24, I think you could ask anybody in the industry and they wouldn't look at 24 as being a success by any stretch of the means.
No, I think there was good yields out there, and that's what is going to keep a lot of them going and all. But the only way to combat the prices they're dealing with right now on commodities is with high yield to overcome where, it may would have taken 40 bushel on beans 2 years ago to show a profit. Now you need 60 bushel out of that same acre to show a profit or to break even. So, that's what you're up against when the prices are.
Yeah, I remember farmers talking about 40 bushels.
Yeah.
You know.
But like I said, it's trying to get 24 behind, but there'll still be some lingering pain from 24 that will last. But looking for a new year, 25. We got some new equipment ordered out of necessity. One of the biggest reasons is I guess post-COVID, parts and everything we touched went up so much. Parts on average are in that 40 to 50% increase. And when you start doing that and looking at the price of new equipment versus what you're spending on old, it makes sense to go a different route. So we do have a lot of new equipment and technology coming out for next year. We're gonna have some videos. We put one out on the new later 720 bed that we're getting on.
Hold up, say that.
Some of the vectors and also tridents, a couple case tridents. And then we'll have some John Deere equipment that we'll have here shortly that we're going to try to do a video on and highlight some of the benefits of it and what we've improved on as far as the technology and how it's going to benefit the farmer on saving money.
It seems like a lot of that of the newer stuff is more geared towards because everything is going up, making sure everything that's being put out on our end is exactly where it needs to be and none of it's wasted.
Yeah. A lot of it, we've been running the 5,000 bed for a while, and then we're moving into the 720, which has all the benefits of the 5,000 plus a lot of other benefits that we can run some wider patterns on it, which is less compaction in the field when we're out there, and efficiency as far as farmers have gotten such bigger and faster planting equipment, everything, that us staying ahead of them is a struggle in the short period of time that we have to do it now between rains, it seems like. And so increasing our efficiency and being able to keep up with the speed of the farmer now, and also saving him money with swath control and this fertilizer, saving him money on fertilizer, which pays for a lot of his application, and with labor like it is, him not having to hire extra people and have that extra piece of equipment, he can put his valued people, operators, in tractors and planting and everything when the time comes, and not having to worry about that part of it. So it makes them more efficient.
Well, and
also,
I would say that being as that it has to be done no matter what, right?
Right.
Like you feel it's got to be prepped, or it's got to be, after harvest, it's got to be, lime put back in the ground, or whatever. And obviously, y'all know more of what I'm talking about than I do. But, but when it comes to doing that, and obviously I can certainly understand, farmers feeling like, money's tight.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, if you got to do that anyway, and you're trying to do it yourself or paying somebody, one of your hands to do it, and it's, you're using older technology that's just slinging it out, at a certain, rate, at a certain, range, no matter what.
Yeah. Well,
and so with, that, it's, you're saving yourself money, and it's more efficient because everything's going.
Right, and that's what we're trying to do is save the grower as much as we can, because, our cost that we have to charge has gone up. But if we can save him, just say on average 5% on his fertilizer costs by our efficiency of our equipment, then that takes on average $3 or $4, sometimes $5 an acre in fertilizer savings that he would have spent otherwise, that he can put back towards the application, making his application cost a lot less and a lot more feasible for him to hire us to do it. So trying to save the grower money along with getting over the acres and, you know, staying ahead of them is what we're trying to focus on going forward with this equipment.
Yeah, because it seems like every year the planting window, whether it be rain, temperature, whatever, it seems like our planting window is getting later and it's getting shorter.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be where mid-March. I don't think we'd done anything in March this year.
Not hardly.
I think it was pretty much wet the whole time. So that'd be some guys that would slip in and plant some early corn. But with the low temperature, wet, it just seems like that date is getting pushed further and further, out in the year. And once you get to that point, you can't plant, but so late, where you're not going to have time for your crop to mature. But it just seems like it's getting later and shorter. So,
well, it's like this year, May is usually one of our biggest months. And I think if we put all the days we ran in May and May is one of our biggest spraying months also. And if you put all the days we got to run in May that it was dry, halfway dry enough to get in the field, it was probably only about 7 days that we were actually able to do anything in the field, which is the same with the farmer. He's only got those same days to work with. So, and those days we're all trying to do everything at once to try to get fertilizer out, sprayed, seed in the ground before that next rain. So bigger equipment, more efficient is the name of the game these days. So that's what we're focusing on in the future.
I mean, it really is. I mean, I could definitely. I mean, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Like as far as the numbers working out, like saving the farmer 5%, $5, however you said it, 5% on his fertilizer, makes up.
Well, if you just say a farmer has a budget of $100 an acre on his fertilizer budget, and we save 5%, well, that's $5 an acre on his fertilizer cost that we save. And we try to work with the fertilizer company and look at maps and everything and say, hey, this is what it's actually showing how many acres here, and we try to cut it as close as we can on what they bring so we don't have any extra. So we're not, at the end having extra fertilizer, because a traditional spreader does in the hills and smaller ground, I mean, you can be up to 10%. A lot of times, and in the delta or bigger fields, you're still a 4 or 5% overlap in a lot of that. And so we've got it down to a lot of cases sub 1%. I know we did
on our G5 beds for
on the G5 we had a 1,400 acre job, and when we got to the end of it, we pulled up the as applied and looked at it, and we were within 5 acres of what fertilizer they brought, what acres it showed on the map, what acres we applied. We were sub 1% on efficiency there, which is in spin spreader technology from years past, that's unheard of. But we've put a lot of effort, a lot of money, time, and everything into making sure our machines perform at that level. So
let me ask you that: why, on a bad year, let's just say like 2024, why would some farmers still try to do it themselves versus hiring somebody like us, you know, to
I
do
mean,
it when the
it's-
numbers work out to where
Well, I think for a lot of them, it's
men.
the
Oh, sorry.
it's the I guess the handiness or the of having that rig there if he wants to spread 100 acres that day and 100 acres the next day or so. But what I do want to say is we work with a lot of smaller guys and big guys, and we can, if a guy has 200 acres he wants to do today and he wants to wait 3 days, we're always moving and have jobs, staggered. And so either me or like Tyler or Craig, we put it all on a big map, and we can see every job on one map that's there. So we know so we can kind of coordinate and go into next. So if we want to do 200 acres a day, we can do that and then put the next 300 he wants to do on here to do, that day. And we can we catch it in the rotation and work with the grower instead of.
And you've got the trucks all over the place to make sure it gets where it needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, we pulled up to farms before, and those guys' spreaders are sitting there still, just like we was talking about earlier. That planting window in the spring is so short, they may need to be on a field cultivator, they may need to be on a sprayer, they may need to be on a planter. They may have that machine sitting there and just not have anybody to put in the seat. So, I mean, we've pulled up before, and guys have got their own spreader, and we've spread fertilizer, and then same way in the fall. When they go in, you don't have a window to get planted, but you've got looming weather out. Once it starts raining in the fall, it's going to traditionally stay wet, making harvest harder. So, I mean, you get guys out there that they may have the equipment, but they may be pinched for time, pinched for help, or sometimes they just may not want to mess with it and just let us do it. So, I mean, we welcome all business. If you got your own spreader, I mean,
not to mention
everybody gets in a bind.
Yeah.
I mean, so
the maintenance on them,
breakdowns. I mean, we've had guys call and, hey, can y'all come do X amount of acres or so many tons or whatever, lime, and machine went down, can't get the part into Friday. They're going to be down for 3 or 4 days. So
I was down there riding with Joe Frank one day, and we're spreading in one field fertilizer, and this farmer over here is spreading in this field trying to use his own, old sprocket system. Is what Joe Frank,
a buggy.
Yeah, and it broke down, or had a problem within the first 5-10 minutes, and I mean he had to call all these guys out there, and they were working on. I mean, we got done spreading those 2 fields, before his guys even showed up to help him.
And that's what I've talked to growers about before. Is there's stuff you can put on paper and you can pencil in when you're doing your budget, and you say, okay, if I hire them, it's going to cost me X amount of money to have it done by Brooks. And so they look at it, and that number is what it is, and they say, well, I can go get me a spreader, and it's going to cost me this, and it's less. And what I've talked to them about before is there's stuff it's hard to put on paper. What if, you have your own machine, you can't get to it and get that nitrogen out on that corn before a timely rain? Oh, you messed up my mojo.
Keep going.
That's what I've talked to growers about before. Is there's stuff that's hard to put on paper and pencil in.
Them intangibles.
Intangibles.
There
So
we go.
that's what I've talked to them about before. Is if you have your own machine and you're trying to plant, it's one of these years like it was last year. They were trying to plant corn, cotton, and beans all at the same time at one point last year, and some of them were trying to run a sprayer, and the ones that had a fertilizer rig were trying to run their spreader. It's hard to find enough capable
Manpower.
Yes.
And man-hours.
Manpowers and operators on a farm to do all that at once.
And it goes back just like you're talking about operators. There's a couple of things on the farm that, you need somebody in the seat that sort of knows what they're doing. There's some people that you can just throw. I mean, it's not hard to. I mean, I've drove a disc, and I'm not a farmer, but anyway, but you jump out on a disc and you drop a disc in the ground and you 1 point to, disc in a field up, no big deal. But if you're planting, you want somebody on there that's going to keep an eye, make sure a row's not stopped up, make sure your seed's going in the ground, how deep you want it to go, make sure you're spacing. Same way with fertilizer. If you coming out there and you're top dressing corn or putting fertilizer out or whatever, if you're putting so many pounds out, you want to make sure that those pounds are getting out there and somebody's out there that I've heard stories, somebody years ago was pulling a buggy, won't call no names, throw anybody under the bus like that, but the old guy went out there and he was spreading pasture. And he sat out there and he'd run like all day long and still had like a trailer load of fertilizer, But he just didn't have correct settings on there and he wasn't experienced enough to know to check that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, he'd spread all day long.
At the end of the day.
He'd spread all day long.
There it is.
And he didn't really accomplish anything, So
yeah, well,
that kind of stuff it goes a long way to making sure. And I'm not saying we're above mistakes by any means, but with
we've learned from a lot.
Yeah, we've learned from a lot. We got a lot of experience. We've got protocols in place to minimize as much as we can any mistakes when we step foot on your farm to when we leave. So
one of the points I always try to make is, talking about those intangibles is, just say to get everything done you're trying to do when you're like this year when you're planting, you got 3 crops you're essentially trying to put in at once because the weather in May, and spring kind of got us in a bind. If you have to pull your guy that was supposed to be on the planter to put him running your fertilizer rig, top dressing your corn or, putting out your fertilizer, and you miss planting that seed before a timely rain, what money did it cost you to get, if you get a big rain and it's 10 days before you can get back in the field to get that planted, what did it cost you for that?
And you can't plan that.
You can look at it. You can look at, okay, I got this planted, and it made 56 bushel. We were 10 days later and got the other part of this farm planted, and it ended up with 46 bushel. Well, 10 bushel to the acre, if it was that extreme, on this year's price, you're talking about $120 an acre.
Loss.
If I did my math right, that you potentially sacrificed for a $10 an acre, application fee. So, and to a grower that's out there listening, and I would love to sit down with anybody and go over, if you own a spreader or don't, I would love to go over and look at your application set up on your farm, and if we can help you to be more efficient, great. If we can't, I'm always there, but I would love the opportunity to sit down and talk through it and go over some numbers and see if I can help you save money or be more efficient in the upcoming years. So if you would just give me a call and I'd set up a meeting and go.
Because at the end of the day,
at the end of the day,
that's right. And
but for real, the farm. If our growers aren't successful and they're not remaining in business, you can't do but one thing with a fertilizer spreader. A couple of things. You can spread fertilizer with it, or you can spread lime, stuff like that. But if we don't have growers to work for, they're a big yard ornament. So
it's a community effort.
We want our growers to be as successful and as profitable as they can be, and we want to help them as much as we can in what we do, to achieve their goal. So
it would make all the sense in the world if you're a farmer out there to at least call us and, like you said, see if we can at least save you money.
Well, it's not it's not going to cost you anything to do it. And at the end of it, if I may end up helping you, giving you some ideas on, being more efficient on your farm with your equipment, if we don't have the opportunity to help you. But like I said, everybody gets in a bind too. If you own your own and then you get to a point and you say, hey, I need to keep planting. Can you come do this 500 acres for me? I mean, that's how we make a living, is 1 acre at a time. So I don't mind, I would love that opportunity.
The same guys, they get out there and, they may have the equipment sitting under the shed, and just say if it's going to take them 3 or 4 days to finish that job. Well, in 3 or 4 days, if they get a rain and it keeps raining, they may not get that job finished. Whereas the way we're set up, I mean, we don't do anything else. We don't custom harvest. We don't custom plant. We don't custom,
this is
do
all
whatever.
We do.
This is it. We're in the application business, and we're good at it. And we pull up, and that's all we do. I mean, we don't have to say, hey, we can't get to you because we got to go do this or we got to go do that. When you call, you're in the rotation, and we're coming to you as soon as we can. And just like he was talking about earlier, if you've got the equipment, but you get a rain or a breakdown or whatever, and it's a 3 or 4 day job and you don't get it done, one call to us could mean either getting that lime applied or getting that fertilizer applied or just not getting it done.
Yeah, and just like John Paul was saying, it could be the difference in,
making
10 bushels an acre.
A crop or not making a crop.
Even if it's 3 or 4 bushels, and you can't, it's hard to put a number on that.
Yeah, I know.
Even if it's, 3 bushel, well, honestly, a bushel of beans pays for the application.
Yeah, 1 bushel.
A bushel. I mean, you can easily, if you miss the right rain on getting on that seed you've planted, you plant it and then you get that perfect, 3-4 tenths of rain on it. It's hard to put a price on. I mean, it could be, the difference in profit and not on that.
There's
acre.
a lot of people out there that would, not put anything out on a soybean acre in a marginal year. And I'd like to get somebody on here that knew that number. But like I said, you're talking about 1 bushel of bean paying for the acre. 1 bushel of beans per acre would pay for your spreading.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think putting any amount of fertilizer out would get you another couple of bushels. I mean,
well, not only that, what I was about to say there is, the first day I plant a soybean, the first time I do, it'll be the first time I ever plant a soybean. Right. Whatever that's saying.
They got quails and
I do have
chickens and stuff.
But I did start your quail eggs.
Okay.
Did you bring any today, by the way?
No, I haven't.
I mean, you could be a title sponsor if you wanted to.
Yeah.
We could sit that big jug of
yeah. I started them 2 days ago.
I'm looking forward to it.
So it'll be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
overall, I mean, we're here to help. That's what we're in the business to do.
Yeah, and what I was going to say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And we want our growers to be successful and us to be successful at the same time. So,
and
we got to work together.
And I am, he's talking about getting somebody on here that knows some of that. I do have plans. I've got several crop consultants and stuff in mind that I want to get on here and talk about some of that stuff that we don't know that may would answer some of our questions on some stuff, and we can talk about
to have some of the
soil
farmers
health,
on here.
soil health and all.
I think that's our ultimate goal with this whole podcast is not only to get our brand out there and try to grow and build our brand, but try to provide some useful information out there. I mean, we don't know everything, but and we don't claim to know everything.
No, I'm not going to.
But we know a bunch of people in the industry, and if we can bring you one tidbit of information and that you gather from this, it makes your farm more efficient, more successful, more profitable, then we've done our job.
And I think, when we started doing the marketing and all, that's my goal, is to put more light on agricultural life. Not only the farmer, but the people that support farming, whether it be the wives, the irrigation people, the man that sells you, the store that sells you an O-ring, when he goes after hours and finds the right O-ring for you because it shut down your whole operation, one O-ring did. So, it's a lot of cogs in this in the agricultural wheel that I want to shine a spotlight on going forward with this. Just, I mean, it's a lot of people that get overlooked, and the farmer, with all the crazy leftists, I'll say that, out there that think that when they go to the grocery store, that the grocery store made the food.
Makes the hamburger man.
Yeah, and you know I want to help shine a light on what the farmer and ag service providers actually do for this country and the importance. I mean, this nation would fall to its knees without ag. I mean, that's just
100%. The world.
the world. We would not. You know, people. I mean, I understand the. You know, trying to grow stuff on the, what do you call it? Organic, you know, which is great, but it's to do that on a mass scale and feed the animals and the people because we have to feed the animals to feed the people in this country, and we cannot make enough grain organically to feed what it takes to feed this nation.
Not unless everybody wants to go back to growing it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we have to go back to steel and
a lot of you's gonna starve.
and, you know, and it just and with commodity prices, you can't do that because there's no way to be efficient enough to do it. So that it's kind of like going all electric. You know, that Biden said it is unfeasible. I mean, it's
Hey, speaking of electric,
right.
I went out to the out deer hunting this morning. I noticed something had burned on the side of the road. Daddy said it was an electric car out there. So
Really?
I said, good. One less off the road.
It caught fire on the side of the road?
It did. I mean, it's not there. I mean, they've removed it, but it was a big black.
We're probably
like,
not going to
yes,
get Tesla
one,
as a sponsor.
one less.
Elon's probably going to
one
not
less off
sponsor
the
me.
road. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't figure we're going to get that Tesla sponsor.
I could see you driving a
Yeah.
Tesla.
Yeah, I'd look good in one.
Yeah.
We're all about raw American horsepower.
Which we saw where that the guy put the bomb in the Tesla and
the
Cybertruck, and it didn't even blow out the sides.
I will give him that now.
That's the first thing Craig said the other day.
Not making light of the situation. It was a bad deal that happened, but man, that truck didn't even look like a bomb went off. I mean, they tore it apart, you know, investigating it or whatever, but
Well, my
the
question
actual
is,
truck, when it was sitting there after it, I mean, it looked like it could have, you know, washed it off. And
did he
should've
rob
drove
a
offshore.
fireworks stand before he showed up?
I don't
to
know,
do
but
that?
he should have picked the old '96 Dodge. I mean, the bodies on them would blow completely
like a
up
dadgum
with the
grenade,
firework.
man.
So he picked the wrong vehicle to do that in because it just, I think,
We
it
just
pretty much
lost
blew
Dodge
it
as a
up.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
blew
went
it straight up. It didn't do what he was intending, which is good. But anyway,
Did it even blow the doors out the front of the building?
I don't
did.
think it busted. From what the news said, no, it didn't even.
It didn't look like it in the
bust
video.
the windows out. I think it was in front of Trump's building. I think.
Did
One
they
of the
say?
hotels.
Did
They
he
didn't
actually
bust the
have a
windows.
bomb?
I don't know.
No, I don't. Shoot, I don't know.
I mean, how did he blow it up?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I really
We're
don't
that
know
deep.
how he blew it up.
We done went down the wrong rabbit hole. Trying to steer it back out of the ditch now.
So, in summary, I mean, I would say that if you're a farmer out there, it would make a whole lot of sense to call us and at least talk to us. Don't cost you nothing. See if we can save you money. And even if we can't necessarily, let's say you're spending the same money, or maybe you're spending a little bit more money. Time, they don't make no more of that. And the hassle and you know, having to deal with it all. And especially like you're saying, you know, the difference, you know, can make a difference in the bushels, you know, per acre, right? Well, again, I've never planted anything, you know, in a mass scale, but if you have a machine out there that can precisely put what each acre needs, where it needs it, with no overspread. You know, you're not throwing it in a turn road. You're not throwing it on a gravel road. You're not throwing it on a blacktop. You're not throwing it in a ditch. It's all going exactly where it needs to go.
Yep.
common sense, and I mean that in the most genuine sense. I
Yeah.
don't mean that, condescendingly.
Right.
Common sense would say
Well-
you're going to get more of a yield, or it's at least going to your field's going to be healthier.
So
well,
if
most everybody has went to variable rate. I would say what, John Paul? 80%?
on lime, 80%. Fertilizer, it depends on the region you're
Probably
in.
50-50 at least.
Yeah, I would say it's closer to 50-50.
So, I mean,
and it depend. A lot of it depends on fertilizer prices and.
I don't know
all
what
that
they're
from year to
charging to grid those fields. We're not in that market. The ag service providers, do that, But I'm sure there's a cost associated with gridding the field, and you've got a map out there that you're wanting the variable rate. Put your potash out in a certain area at a certain rate and everything. So why would you not want it if you went to the trouble of getting your map and that field gridded? Why would you not want it put out like that map says? Exactly where.
Yeah, I mean,
because you can adjust the every one of the consultants or fertilizer companies can adjust on those maps the scale on what your budget and everything can all be adjusted to the same amount as you're going to spend on a flat product, but you're putting it where it needs to be and building up that pour acre. And a lot of times, honestly, it makes a lot of sense to build up your good ground, because you end up putting more fertilizer on your good ground sometimes because it pulls so much more crop off of it, and then because it produces more. So, but once you do it for a couple of years, it evens all that out, and that's the point of variable rate, to get every acre as close to good and take up the nutrients like it's supposed to with your pH and all that is supposed to. So trying to get your whole farm level if possible.
what are the improvements of the 720 bed over the G5 bed when it comes to that?
The width is one of the biggest things, but
That's
also
the new bed, by the way, that we're getting.
So there's a lot of benefits for us on the application side, and with the grower. For one thing, if not every acre or every fertilizer we're going to be able to go out there and spread it at 120 foot. It has that capability. Mm-hmm. But some of it we're going to be at 80, some of it we're going to be at 120. But the wider we are, the less tracks we put in the field. The one good thing about the 720 is the forgiveness in the pattern it gives, along with a touch in the cab. You can change it from 70 feet to 120 with the push of a button, and all that's done with actuators in the back. So there's no moving pieces like it is on the 5000. The 5000 works great. This is just a totally different setup.
Efficiency.
Covering more acres.
Covering more acres. I mean, if that guy, and I don't know how many times we pulled up to the field and they've got tractors sitting there, whether it's a field cultivator or where they've done sitting there with a planter waiting to go in behind us. They're wanting us to get in front of them, or a sweet potato setter, and they're wanting to get started setting where they're waiting on us to get in front of them. You go from 80 foot to 120 foot, and I'm still putting that same product out. So I mean, you're gonna be filling up about the same amount of time, but you're gonna be covering more acres at a quicker because your swath width's a lot wider. So
I think
it's still doing the variable rate.
Yeah, breakdowns. One thing that I seen
everything.
that y'all mentioned the other day that I'm excited about is it didn't have any grease fittings on the back of it. So man,
there's no grease fittings on that bed. It's all sealed, and
a fella appreciate greasing something a lot more in April when it's warm than in December when it's 10 or 15 degrees.
The chassis still has your grease points
but the actual
on it,
bed does
the bed
not.
does not, and it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot cleaner design, easier to wash, maintain. I mean, it's just.
And did you mention the 720 still has the swath like our G5?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I did or not, but it does. It still has the same swath control. So the benefit of it, where I'm talking about when I'm talking about the savings, like with the traditional spreader, you go, just say you're spreading 80 foot and you're getting in these point rows. Well, it's spreading until this last little tidbit of your pattern covers your trim pass. You basically are overlapping in this hole all the way up to here. So you may overlap, 90% of your pattern at one point. Where with the swath control and the G5 and the 720, it starts cutting off. And so we're minimizing overlap to 1% on most accounts. And then if you get down to especially like in a big delta field and you got a mile long row and you get down to the last pass and it's 30 foot of width you're needing to cover, but you're having to put out an 80 foot pattern across it, overlapping 50 of it. This bed puts it exactly, both of these beds put it exactly in that 30 foot and doesn't waste that fertilizer. And a lot of times, especially like on wheat or something, when you have to overlap and you're over applying in that nitrogen could lodge in that wheat and make it fall over, which makes it harder to pick up with the combine, and you can lose some yield on that. So it has a lot of benefits to doing that. All our sprayers this year will actually have section control. Nozzle control on each one of them.
Which is the coolest thing out of all.
It's down to the nozzle on it, so it's even. You don't have zero overlap, but it's getting as close as you can.
And to
back up just 1 second on the meeting, it won't cost anybody anything to have a conversation with us and just let us sit down.
Free consultation. But
one call.
What we run into a lot of times is you've got this grower out there and he's got a 40-acre field. He called it a 40-acre field his whole life because his daddy called it a 40-acre field his whole life. And that field may not be but 34, 35. And we run into it this past year. A guy went out there and he said, we sent enough lime out there. He said, there's 80 acres there. Well, it wasn't 80 acres there. It was like 56. It wasn't nowhere close to 80.
No.
And it happens, A lot of guys know what they got. Some don't. But if we can sit down with these guys and just say, if you've got a 40-acre block that you've always called 40 acres and it's only but 36, well, like you was talking about, four times $80, $70-$80, a ton, an acre on fertilizer.
It adds up.
You take that across your whole crop and it'll add up. And I understand, we've always, the tradition, years ago, well, they sent it, just put it out, get it out there somewhere. But why buy 4 and 5%, 4 and 5%, more fertilizer than what you actually need when we've got the technology to exactly match your acres and you don't have that overlap.
And you can put that into
something else.
Put it into your application that we're charging, and it cuts. Sometimes it cuts the application cost in half. If you're only, you can't go buy a spreader and put somebody in it for $5 an acre, and if we're saving you, we're charging 10 or 11, and we're charging you 4 or 5. You're down to $6-7 an acre, and at that point, that's why I'm saying I would love to sit down with you and let's look at it. And if I can save you money. If you can save money and I can get over more acres and make money, then that's good for both of us.
And if you want to do that, we have a website, Facebook.
Call me.
Get up numbers on Facebook, numbers on, and the website and everything. And Craig's number's on the website, Tyler's number's on the website. But going back to the spraying thing, because I think that's the coolest thing of it all. The beds are amazing. But where it has the LiDAR, am I right, on the arm, and it can see the weeds. It maps out the field.
I hadn't even talked about that. So we will have one of our new John Deere sprayers will have the See and Spray on it. And so we are still working on pricing per acre and all that, but it will save the grower money in the end, and it costs more per acre, but in the end, if it was going to cost you $1,000 to do it, and in the end, I have to charge more for the application, but you spend less money on chemical, and that cost for that complete job went from $1,000 to $700. You still save money in the end.
And for the guys who never heard of See and Spray in a nutshell, if you've got a 100-acre field and you don't have weeds across that whole 100-acre field, this machine's got the technology and the ability to go through there and only spray the areas. It detects the weeds. It only sprays those areas. So instead of you spraying a blanket application across 100 acres, we may only spray 50 or 60 of that, or 65 or 75 acres. So,
huge saving there.
Yeah, it is.
Huge saving. I mean, not only, and I don't even want to get in the cost of chemicals, but not only the application,
time, application.
but some of these chemicals, I mean, are,
Yeah, the chemical cost is
that's going to be your biggest saving.
Is the savings you're going to look at on it, because for the application side, we still have to charge to go over every acre, and John Deere has a charge in there for every acre now that you don't spray. So they're charging for the acre that you were saved money on, which I have to pass along. But like I said, in the end, if you're going to save $2 or so an acre, in the end, you're still saving money.
Yeah, they're not charging the
right.
Yeah,
So you're still saving money in the end, but that savings is going to be on the chemical.
Right.
It's going to be on the chemical side.
You're getting a discount on the acre that would have got sprayed no matter what.
Yeah.
For the full price, because it's because John Deere's charging.
And the left wing nuts out there I was talking about, it ought to make them happy too, because we'll be putting out less chemical and all that, also. So.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've got information and stuff we can share along. Anybody that want to be interested in.
Do you want to talk about the other thing that's coming? Or you want to hold off?
Yeah, hold off.
Okay.
On that, because I got to get all my. We ain't even got.
To be
talking
continued.
about ducks in a row. We ain't even got a mama yet. Let me turn this heater.
Okay, that's fine. I need to press.
We're back live.
Yep, we're back
in
live.
There she went.
There she went. We got the fire going, folks. I mean, we was getting down there to the
we didn't die.
chili zone. It's
Yeah.
currently about 32 degrees here in the good state of Mississippi in the town of Van Vliet.
58
And it's
in here.
about 46 and a half in here, feels like right now.
And to just let you know what's going on over there, that fireplace, you said it's never been turned on?
No, it has. It's been 10 years or 9 years probably.
Well, he came up here to light it a minute ago, and it wouldn't light. And then about 10 minutes later, we're sitting here, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
just like
It's
right
on,
there.
though.
It's on.
Yeah. Luckily, we're
It must have a thermostat
Not
on
bad.
it some
I
kind
guess
of
it
way.
does.
Trump got elected.
He did.
He did. He got certified.
We hadn't-
He called me the other day, wanting me to come to the inauguration, because I think I'm the delegate for
Chickasaw County,
Chickasaw
maybe?
County.
Yeah.
Do you get a
But-
badge for that?
I've got a card. Let's see. But
Oh, you're being serious.
yeah, I got a card. Something in here. Yeah, so it's a Trump.
Oh, you showed me that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
official.
He's part of the Trump administration.
But I told him, I said,
you turned it down.
I said, Don, I got stuff to do that day. Deer season's still going on 20th, so
If you could be president today, would you do it,
no.
Craig?
Me?
This country,
No, they had
this
assa-
country
they-
ain't ready.
They ain't ready for me to be president. They'd assassinate me within about a week. It
Yes.
probably wouldn't take
What
them
would
that
be the
long.
first thing you did if you were president?
Me?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't know.
There's a lot.
There's a lot that needs to be
I'd
corrected.
abolish the ATF.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I'm sorry, that face I made probably was it was stupid, but I'd abolish the ATF. There you go.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
edit that first.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm
definitely
never
putting
gonna. I'm never gonna be president. So I better not even say what the first thing I do, because I'd probably make some people mad. But
I don't know what I'd do.
I don't either. I mean, it's the world, so we've letting it.
I wouldn't give
gotten to-
money.
got-
I wouldn't give money to countries that hate us.
No.
I would take care of us.
Well, that would make too much
Hey,
sense.
I am liking that Trump's. Have you seen out there that he's he's Trudeau. He resigned from
Yeah. Did he
Canada's
resign?
prime. Yeah, he resigned.
I don't. You sent me that last night, and I
think he did. He resigned.
I couldn't find it.
Well, see, I saw something this morning where it said he decided he wasn't going to resign.
Yeah.
Well, he may have
Yeah, I couldn't
thought
find
better.
I couldn't find where he resigned. So
Well, he made a statement the other day. I seen a video that he made a statement that he was going to step down as prime minister.
Well, see, they just hey,
And,
y'all were talking about this.
Trump's going to make them the 51st state.
we need them just for the hunting land.
Did you see where all these people are pushing for Canada to be part of America?
That's what.
Yeah,
what
that's what Trump's talking about. We'll just make them the
All right.
51st state. So
What the bump?
yeah.
I don't want to drink Coke. I mean, Pepsi.
If when we do this, I want you to pull up a picture of Trudeau, and I want you to pull up the picture of Castro and Trudeau's mother beside each other. He is the son of Fidel Castro.
Look, don't even get me going down
I
that
mean,
road.
he is. You look at it.
You look at a lot of world leaders. Their grandparents were Nazi leaders.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trudeau's.
Yeah, he's Castro's son.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Prove me wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Trump's trying to buy.
I agree with John Paul from that standpoint. I know we want to be neighborly, but we're basically. I mean, what are we getting out of the?
Yeah.
we're subsidizing them, and then
Well, Trudeau came out and said
we're basically
there's not a
providing-
snowball chance in hell that Canada will become part of America.
That's
Trudeau,
well, fine. Then we quit. We quit subsidizing them. Why are we giving
I
our
agree.
tax money to them, and they're up there taking rights away from their citizens? You can't even buy a handgun now, and he wants to get it where you basically can't buy
well,
any gun.
they've made it to where they just passed a law to where all semi-automatic firearms are banned.
Yeah, I mean, piss on them. Don't send
Don't
them
bring
any
it
money.
down here.
Don't send them any money. I don't know why we send.
See, that's what I'm
getting me
worried
riled
about
up,
with
but
it.
I don't know why we send money to countries that we get nothing back out of it. What benefit do we get to sending it to all these Middle Eastern countries that hate us? Besides, there's oil money in it. There's kickback money in
Well,
it.
that's
There's
what it really
family
is
member.
That's what I carried a step further. We're not only sending money to people that we don't get nothing out of, we're having to borrow it from somebody else to send it to them is a bad thing. So
yeah.
I'd probably start there.
Well,
Let's stop borrowing money to give to other people.
Why do we keep doing this debt ceiling? We're going to raise it every time. It's just something to argue about every so often.
it's just a talking point.
Just say, hey, we're going to borrow money till we run this country in the ground, or either
quit running it in the ground.
we
once.
turn it around and we quit giving money that we don't have away.
Well, if you buy
there's so
Canada,
much you can drive between right here, and you can drive 30 minutes in either direction, and I guarantee you can find where it's just wasteful spending. Just
oh, 100%.
it's just junk that don't matter.
How do you give money to a country that we help, that we probably owe money to?
Yeah,
I mean, send money
That
to help
hates
them,
us.
but we probably owe them.
yeah. Well, it's like I said the other day,
Doesn't make
the whole
sense.
Hamas thing. Like you're funding sending Hamas $250,000 a month, or $250 million a month, and then at the same time giving Israel
Money too. We playing both sides.
the military weapons, and then on top of that, Israel's funding Hamas too. It's through Mossad and the CIA.
No wonder we're hated.
Yeah.
I mean, we're playing both sides of the fence, and it's
Well, I think the saying goes that tyrants create the chaos so that they can become the saviors of their own chaos.
and war is good business.
Yeah.
War's brought a lot of world's economies back.
Chaos creates fear, fear creates isolation, isolation creates control.
I don't know.
Does that sound like 2020 maybe?
Yeah. Maybe.
Anyway, so
I don't know how we got there,
Yeah.
but
Reel us back.
yeah.
yeah, but
Do you think?
I
know
am
we
not
talked about
running
this.
for president. And I repeat this message.
Oh,
I
we
am
never-
not running for president.
Craig, 2028.
I'll run for Van Vliet dog catcher, and I probably will not get it.
I'm not very, like I said, I'm not made for political office of any sort.
Well, my thing is how, if you really think about it, to be the president, and I know this, maybe I put Donald Trump in this category too, but how evil do you have to, I feel like you would have to be a pretty corrupt human being to become the most powerful man in the world.
I don't know for being corrupt, but I think you got to be a strong. I think you got to be a strong person to be.
I think the one we just had in there is corrupt, and he's controlled by. He was a puppet to.
Well, maybe that's why everybody
Whatever.
hates Trump, because he's against.
Yeah, the establishment hates him
That's
because
what
they
I'm
can't
saying,
control him.
That's what I
And when
mean.
you can't control,
Biden's biggest thing that bothered me, he didn't have a backbone. He went back on everything he said. It wasn't
What
worth the words
bothered me
coming
is
out
that
of
he
his
was-
mouth.
he was a man of his word. He said he wouldn't pardon his son.
A man of his word,
And-
he was never awake to give a word.
He was a man of his word. He said he wouldn't pardon his son if he was.
Well,
And so,
I'm pretty sure we've lost all of our liberal viewers.
yes, I have.
There's
Go
that
somewhere
clip.
else. I don't care.
That clip that I put in that one video where he's on the stage with the French prime minister, and he literally squats down and he goes, Jill. And she says, don't. And he cramps his pants right there on stage with the prime minister. Anyway, that's
I
our
had
president.
some Taco Bell one night. And
Is he
next-
still
next
the
morning.
president right now, by the way? I
that
mean,
we
Yeah,
think,
I don't think they'll.
as far as on paper.
I
mean, can we just say that Trump's already the president?
Inauguration's what, the 20th, maybe?
Yeah, what we got? Are we 11 days away?
Something
Speak-
like that.
Because we were talking about this, and I meant to bring. Did y'all see where Trump is trying to buy Greenland too?
Yeah, and something about the Panama or Panama
Yeah, the Panama
or
Canal. He
something.
wants that back. And what he said is if Denmark this is so weird because Denmark is a NATO country, right? And he said he's gonna buy it back, and he said if they don't want us to buy it back, we're just gonna tariff them until they give it to us.
I can't. I don't know all that. I mean, he's not the first one with the Canada
He said
deal
that yesterday.
too. The Canada situation. He's not the first one to bring that up. I didn't know that, but that's
You know how
been-
weird that's gonna be if Canada and Greenland become a part of the United States.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of people from
So, dude,
Mississippi be
here's-
driving up to Canada, going and hunting in them lost woods up there.
Well, here's what I'm.
Jim Shockey better get ready.
What
Reckon
happens?
Reckon ever run dogs over here.
I don't know.
What happens to their laws versus our laws?
Well, if they're the 51st state, I
Yeah,
guess they'd abide by ours
Yeah.
at that point.
If it does happen, I'm investing in.
Or did those laws that they already have become their own state laws?
I don't know, but I'm investing in ammo and gun manufacturers because them folks up there would order some weaponry.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, do you think Trump is gonna fix things when it comes to the agricultural industry in 2025 and moving forward at least?
yeah, I think. But
I think
It's-
Trump understands the importance of
yeah,
agriculture.
it's not an overnight fix. I mean,
Who
but,
did he appoint? Didn't he?
man,
I can't recall on the. You talking about the ag commissioner?
Uh-huh.
I can't.
I'd have to
remember.
look that up.
I
can't
know
remember either.
people were mentioning Cindy Hyde, but she
Yeah.
came out and said she was not interested in it.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
I guess I could look that up. But anyway, you were saying?
Me?
Yeah, Trump with 2025 in the agricultural industry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not a quick fix, but yeah, I think if we'd have stuck with the China tariffs we had before, that at this point we wouldn't be in the shape we're in. And I think he's going to try to.
Which farmers were not happy about it first.
No,
but it was the best thing in the long term.
I think it was, and a lot of them do think it was. It hurt, but I think it would have been good in the long term. But now we don't know because they completely turned that back around. So we'll see. It's got to get better.
Brooke Rollins.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
That's
who
the agriculture.
Secretary of Agriculture.
Secretary
Brooke
of
Rollins
Agriculture.
is Trump's.
Brooke?
pick. Brooke Rollins. It's a woman.
It's a woman.
From where?
Brooke Rollins.
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you. She is from. Trying to find. Trump taps Rollins as agricultural chief, completing proposed slate of cabinet secretaries. Texas.
Okay.
Yep, served as the White House domestic policy chief during Trump's first presidency. And now she's going to be the
I vote for the
Secretary of
AK guy to be head of the ATF.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect fit.
Endorsement.
Yeah. I hope he bans the ATF and the FBI.
Well, that's what came out yesterday. There, another bill's proposed to dismantle it.
Get rid of them.
Yep.
Unconstitutional.
Yep.
And
100%.
you're welcome,
There's a
ATF.
bunch of those departments out there I think need to be gone that I won't mention.
Oh well, yeah. You take what Elon did at Twitter, and you go in and fire 80% of it, and it's still running just as efficient as it was. That's government. That Twitter, what happened there can be done in government, and I know there's a lot of people listening that work for the government because it's the largest employer in our nation. But should it be? No. No,
too big.
We're wasteful.
And they're some of the best and paid employees. And it's almost like teachers with tenure. They're almost impossible to fire.
Yeah. Well, and it would be better for everybody if we didn't have to give up as much of our money to the government to fund all that. Then
With
you
the
get rid of
technology-
income tax. Income tax was supposed to be temporary in the start to begin with, and now we're taxed at what we are.
Well, if you think about it, we fought the Revolutionary War over a tax on tea.
Like 3% tax or
On
something,
tea.
like 2 or 3% tax, and now we're taxed at probably 40% total if you really
And
get down to it.
despite popular belief and what maybe the internet will tell you, the Civil War was truly fought and started over tax.
Yeah.
But
We've got the technology in place now. A lot of the stuff that we do in our day-to-day lives that involve the government could be done online.
Yeah.
You don't need anybody sitting at a certain counter, and I'm not saying any department or any wherever, but a lot of these places could be a simple pump, point and click, and that's done. You don't have to go stand in line. You don't have to waste any part of your day. You can do it from your smartphone. Renew your tag or do whatever.
heck, you can have your driver's license on an app now.
Yeah. It just.
The school systems school teachers and all that need, but I'm talking about the 3-letter bureaus and stuff that a lot of that can be done differently, done away with. Our tax dollars shouldn't go to fund the biggest employer in the country. We shouldn't. That's essentially what we are. Is a lot of our money goes internally to jobs that we really could do away with, just like hiring 88,000 more IRS agents, or our money going overseas to people that hate us. We blow more money.
What was the percentage them old clowns tried to slip in on that bill? They was gonna give herself a raise. What was it? 20 or 4? Was it 20 or 40?
I thought it was 30.
No, it was. I think it was a 40% raise.
That's what I was wanting to say.
Was
It
it
was
40?
40. Where was that money gonna come from?
Your
the farm
pocket?
bill. And that's what they tried to slip it in there.
Because that has everything to do with farming.
Oh, them spending bills, they slip all kind of junk in there. All kind of.
And that's when you see where somebody one candidate, when they're running, the other candidate says, well, he voted against this. Well, no, we voted against what else was in that bill. We didn't vote, like they'll say, just made up. Well, he voted against letting children eat. He didn't want children to eat.
They spent it.
No, we voted against funding a gay pride parade through the streets of Manhattan. No, that's why we didn't vote for that bill. It didn't have anything to do with starving children, but that's how the games work. Term limits. Get rid of people.
100%.
Get rid of people that are in it for life, because they're not in. They will not vote with our best interests at heart. They vote with what is going to get them elected or not elected the next go around.
At some point, people like old Joe Biden, when he first got in it, he may have been a sincere leader.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, what I hear.
Well, have you ever seen that interview of that senator who's in the wheelchair?
Yeah.
Well, old Strom, what was he? He's dead now, and old Strom Thurmond. How old was he? He was like in his 90s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was the old.
I mean,
I was talking about that young guy who got elected. He didn't run again, but he came on some podcast and right after he became senator, like a year into it, and somebody, I think it was Joe Rogan maybe, and somebody asked him, what's it like, being elected, because he's like 22. And he said the first thing they do is they try to corrupt you.
Yeah.
And blackmail you. He said they have these parties. He said, let's just say things go on at these parties, these mixing parties. Like he said, it'd be like a philanthropy event. And he said,
like the Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah. Just Catalina wine.
What is it? Worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide.
Anyway.
Well, that's all Epstein and Diddy.
Yeah, no Diddy.
That's what that's all about, is blackmail.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying.
It's hard to find one of those career politicians that's been in there for 30 and 40 years that does anything other than just stir the pot. They always got a problem with somebody. It doesn't matter if you colored that letter blue, you should have colored it red, and they're fixing to go back and find out where you bought them colors from. Well, that fella you bought them colors from, he shouldn't have. And that's all they do is just try to dig up. Like I said, I don't know what we've got them hired to do, the guys that's been in there 30, 40 years, because all you ever see them is on the news just stirring the pot.
What this guy was saying, he said, is the first thing they try to do is if you're married, they're going to try to get you to sleep with a prostitute.
Yeah.
If you're not married, they're going to try to get you, do drugs or something, or sleep with another, a prostitute. And, they're going to have that over you now. And he said, so when it comes to, sponsoring a bill or, signing on a bill, they come door to door and they're like, oh, yeah, your wife would, hate to find out about last month's,
And eventually they pull that card eventually in the end. You're going to get, once they got you, when they want you to be done, they're going to pull that card out and show it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty wild. What
we got off crazy again.
Yeah.
Reel back in.
Sorry. We went down another rabbit hole. But so you think Trump is going to help, but it's not going to be overnight?
No.
We're too far
way too deep to be an overnight fix.
I agree. I think that is.
We're in the middle of the ocean with old 9.9 Johnson trying to get us back to land. We're gonna get there. It's just gonna take us a minute. Yeah. It won't take us a second.
Well, at the end here, talk about, and we'll wrap it up with this. Just talk about what's coming in 2025 on our end, and what you think, the agriculture industry, hopefully will look like or not look like, in the future.
So for 2025, we have several of the 720 beds in Tennessee, and in Mississippi we have pretty much mostly new John Deere machines and Vectors with 5,000s on them. So pretty much for the most part, we're mostly everything swath control. On our fertilizer side, lime side, we're going to a John Deere floater on Lime. And what part of that will be the guys that are running the John Deere, the JD Link, the what do you call it?
Operations Center.
Operations Center. If we're doing work for you, you can make us a partner. We can seamlessly push the application data, what we do on your farm,
You can
back
watch it.
You
can watch it real time, I think.
Yeah, we can
they
push it right
log
back
in and they can
into
sit there
there,
and watch
so
us.
you can have all the information at your fingertips with your application, just like you're doing it yourself, as far as on paper and your records and everything. And like I said, all of it is going to have the swath control, and then all the fertilizer and spraying. Also, something we're introducing is on our floaters. We got 3 of those with a combo spraying system on it. And so what we're going to mainly be doing with those is early burn down on non-bedded ground. More than likely is what we'll be doing with that. And pasture, wheat, and we would like to do some rice spraying, because, I mean, they have the 1,050 tires on them, which will hold up, not hard to make a track in the field in those before you flood the rice, those last sprayings, get in there and not rutted up and everything. And so we're going to have that. Once we get those in and all, we're going to have some videos and stuff, and we'll talk about it, the benefits of that, which will be, most of that will be coming up here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That will showcase some of that.
Yeah. And if y'all, if you're watching this and you want to check out any information or videos we've put out in the past, you can go to our Facebook page and our TikTok, Instagram. This will soon be on YouTube. We're actually going to launch the YouTube channel with the podcast in this first episode. So make sure you go in there and like and subscribe. Is there anything else for 2025 before we go that you want to mention?
We're working on a couple of other things, totally different, not totally different, but than we've offered before. So I'd like to get a little bit further down that road, and we'll announce those. Okay. So hopefully here in the next couple of weeks also.
Okay.
So, but yeah, 2025 will be exciting. We've, like I said, a lot of new technology, and I think that will benefit us and mainly the grower on, especially with revenue, farm revenue tight. Any dollar we can save, a grower helps.
Yep.
Helps them. So
Optimistic.
Yep.
For 25. So there's nothing like going out there when you get that first call and going to the field and you smell that old ground turned over and hit that first field and the sun's shining, everything's drying out, and you see a planter running, and so
it's be a lot quicker than we think it. I mean, it'll be here
a couple of months
fast.
and we'll be in it. Like I said, it tends to, at least short term, get stuff in the ground. It makes everybody's attitude perk up a little bit for a little bit. So hopefully build on that, and 25 be better than 24, hopefully. So
I guess we'll get ready to do some snow sledding.
Yeah.
This weekend. We got a
I'm
nasty
out.
storm coming in.
I brought you. They said it was the fastest sled.
Is it that Clark Griswold?
They said, hey,
We'll slick
gonna
that
get it
baby
on that
down with
bad
some
boy.
oil.
Last time it snowed, I think I let the girls pull me behind a little buggy and I slipped off, and I thought I done broke my back. I think I'm gonna sit this one out.
I like to kill Kenny Cruz. I was sledding him behind our Ranger, and he messed up and said, "Is that all you got?" Well, on the next loop, I was scared to death because he was about 5 foot in the air, looking like Superman. And when he hit the ground, he slid across that ice, and it bloodied his whole side up. He was done for the day.
That's it. He had
He
his.
was done.
He had it
So-
last time.
We're too old for that, though.
You in fact had just a little bit more, is what you said.
Yes, I did.
When that last time Waylon was about 3, and I've got that kayak that I use hunting, and in my backyard, it slopes down pretty hard right there out my.
You riding a kayak down the snow?
Oh yeah. So I put Waylon in the kayak, and because I did it a couple times, I was like, "Come on, buddy, get in here." And I have this tree line that's about 30 yards behind my house. It's like I don't know, 20 yards wide, and I let him go down that hill. Well, he was supposed to go in the gap back there. Went straight through the tree line. He's screaming, crying.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was
some
bad.
broken
My wife
bones
about killed me over that one.
Broken bones and dented fenders and bumpers and all that this weekend. So
Yeah.
Well, look,
we'll see.
if you are a farmer out there, again, just give us a call. It like they said, it's free. Consultation. If we can save you money, it's a no-brainer. And even if it's
And like I
it's a
said,
break-even point.
if we can't, at least, like I said, we'll get to meet, and I'm there when you do need me, because everybody gets in the bind. I get in the bind. I mean, everybody gets in the bind, so can't hurt.
And the time management aspect of it is invaluable.
Yep.
So, like I said, this is the At the End of the Day podcast. This is the very first episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all got some valuable information out of it. Hope it's maybe some entertainment out of it.
Be sure to drop comments, anything that you'd like us to talk about.
Yes, leave
Things
a
that
comment.
you'd like us to leave alone.
Yes.
Any suggestions.
Yeah.
Don't talk about that.
Yeah. You ain't got to tell me how country I sound. I've been that way
He's
since
Calhoun
I was
County. So.
I've been that way since 1977.
But just make sure that you keep an eye out for new episodes in the future. We will hopefully be doing this every week. And like I said, this is the At the End of the Day podcast. And in the future, we're going to try to do this, once a week. And hopefully one day, take it to live. But one podcast out every month, we're going to get everybody else in here, some other guys that work with Brooks on the podcast, and you ain't going to want to miss that because they're pretty crazy. So anyway, just make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the bell icon because we're going to move this show, try to transition it from posting just strictly on Facebook to YouTube. And we're going to try to make YouTube the home for this show, in the future. So anyway, make sure you go over there and like and subscribe. It's important because you don't want to miss out, if we put out a new episode in the future. We're going to put it on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter or X for now, but eventually we want it to just be X and YouTube. So anyway, thank you guys for listening, and that's all we got. We out.